again!
If you don't mind, I will begin at the beginning.
It's a new day. Let's get going.
1, 2, 3. Bad boy! 4, 5, 6. B.I.G.
My balls itch so much. They really, really itch a lot. My balls, they itch so much. They really, really itch so much.
Hey, when you get a second, stop looking at my boobs.
Man, you'd think the quality would dip after 5,500 shows. But
Well, the FCC isn't laughing.
Okay, that is my most shameful, painful, private secret. Okay? And it might sound like a joke, but it's not fucking funny to me.
And now,
Do you still stand by your pledge made in 2008 to provide a pony for every American?
yes, I do, sir. Our feature presentation.
I'd like to say for the record that I'm very disappointed that Mr. Vermin Supreme is not getting more traction for the presidential election this year.
Well, I would like a pony.
I would like a pony, too.
Wouldn't that be the best?
He's my candidate. I don't know why everybody's talking about Mr. Romney, Mr. Obama, when Vernon Supreme is out there promising ponies.
I know. What does a man have to do?
What does a man have to do, indeed? Hey, party people, welcome on in to yet another all-new Kevin and Bean show, this time for a Wednesday. Is it still $1 billion down there, by the way, Lisa?
Yeah, well, it was only $500 million yesterday, but now it's going
okay.
to climb up to $1 billion for the next few days.
Is there, I'm not trying to get in any kind of political discussion here, but is there anything to this global warming thing that it gets hotter every single year?
Well, I don't know how it works exactly, but I think in some places it gets wetter, in some places it's drier, in some places it's hotter and colder. It works differently all over, but...
And you drew hot. That's what you got. You got hot.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it's just every time you see these, these surveys that come out, they go, 9 out of the last 10 years are the hottest years ever recorded. You have to go, wow, there's definitely something going on. I mean, you've had a lot of days over 100 this year.
I can't remember the exact temperature. Somewhere in the Mideast that they just recorded like 140 something. You pay attention to this, Bean. Yeah, and they had... They actually said that the record earlier was disputed because they used a new thermometer and the guy that normally does it was sick, and so they can't really rely on that. So this is the new highest temperature ever anywhere.
Wow, I got to look that up. I saw the headlines for that. I just didn't read it. But there's a new highest temperature ever, huh?
Yeah.
Wow. Strong.
Yeah.
I heard from the voices in my head that the government controls the weather.
Oh,
well, it's because of the fluoride in your water, guys.
Right.
Oh, that's right, the fluoride.
Exactly. The fluoride. That's why. Jesse Ventura told us that.
Yeah.
All right, you don't get a choice today, Lisa, because I picked out a story especially for you that I think you're going to love. Here's an article on the Huffington Post, Bizarre Hollywood Beauty Secrets. And I think this is great, especially for you ladies out there, although some of them you'll hear are also being used by men. And especially, this week, this is good to do this story because, we may have listeners who are lucky enough to be going to the Emmys on Sunday, and they want to look their very best on the red carpet.
Okay.
Of course, you've heard us talk about the bird poop facial. Mm-hmm. That apparently is becoming more popular all the time, also referred to as the geisha facial because of its Japanese origin. Several high-end spas are charging hundreds of dollars $100 a pop to slather on this unique ingredient, which is said to leave the skin shiny and smooth. Both Victoria and David Beckham reportedly indulge in the facials. They use a mixture of nightingale excrement, rice bran, and water. Bird poop facial.
Okay.
Are you in or out for that one, by the way?
I'm out.
Okay. How about the synthetic snake venom?
Synthetic?
Yes,
Ooh,
apparently
this
Gwyneth
must
Paltrow.
Freeze parts of your face, right?
That's exactly right. Gwyneth Paltrow, Katie Holmes, and Deborah Messing are all reportedly opting for a muscle-shocking synthetic snake venom product. It's called Synake. It's an anti-aging treatment that acts kind of like Botox. It smooths out wrinkles, relaxes facial muscles. The theory is that when snakes attack, they paralyze their victims with the venom. And Swiss beauty chemists soon realized by copying the venom, they could have the same effects in humans.
I'm in.
All right, you're in for that one.
I'm in for that.
Vodka mouthwash.
Yes.
That got Beer Bug's attention. When Listerine isn't cutting it anymore, some celebrities are turning to a mixture of vodka, mint springs, and lemon or cinnamon, says a Manhattan-based celebrity dentist, Jennifer Joblow. She works with several of the Victoria's Secret supermodels. Some patients are turning to this homemade concoction, believing that it freshens breath and prevents staining. Vodka mouthwash.
All right.
Would not have figured that one out.
I would try that.
Fish pedicures. I'm sure you've heard about those by now, right?
That was Japanese too, right?
Yes, it was. This is where you dip your feet into a vat of fish, and then you just sit back as they eat the dead skin off of your feet. Apparently, Jessica Simpson is using that one. Angelina Jolie told Vanity Fair last year that she sends her sons for the foot bath. So she's using it for her kids.
Okay.
Preparation H, apparently not being used the way you think. It really works. Of course, for years, people have been dabbing it under their eyes to depuff, right? To depuff under their eyes and firm and tighten up their skin.
This is something new?
This is something new. Sandra Bullock is using it along with Rose McGowan, Emmanuel Shrieky. One of the ways that they're using it is... Oh no! This is I take it back. This Preparation H. This one is just used for under your eyes.
Okay.
But there's something else that's called earthworm poop wrinkle cream.
What is with the poop?
I don't know.
The poop in the face. I don't understand.
They do seem to like that, don't they? Product purports to reverse the aging process and even cure skin conditions like psoriasis and eczema. Earthworm poop wrinkle cream.
That sounds like a miracle.
Somebody's job is out there to gather earthworm poop. The Jeselnik, also on this article. We learned about that from actress Jennifer Love Hewitt, remember? This is where you apply this Swarovski crystals to your vajayjay.
Oh, okay.
It perks you up. It's a way to kind of dress up that area. And here's the one I was looking for when I was thinking of Preparation H. Weird uses for Botox. Apparently, there are several other ways to use Botox, which I did not know anything about. Apparently, you can put it on your pectoral muscles to give them a slight non-surgical boost. You can use Botox to prevent sweaty hands and to prevent a gummy smile if you show too much gum. This doctor says celebrities are very busy people. They can't afford a lot of downtime, so they look for non-invasive procedures that work just as well as surgery. You get Botox injected into those areas of your body in order to assist you with those.
They are, people with the chronic sweaty palms, Botox is kind of a miracle.
Really?
Yeah, I have heard of
huh?
that before. And I'm not sure they do it under the arms. But, yeah, there are people who you shake their hand and your hand just comes away wet and there's nothing they can do about it. And I don't know why, but the Botox does fix that.
And they certainly look surprised all the time at the same time, right?
That's true.
So they got that going for them. So there you go. There's some tips if you went out there and go out there and get some earthworm poop and
all right.
Put your feet in with some fish.
What to do today?
Got a bird to poop on you and all that kind of stuff. Let's talk about today's all-new Kevin and Bean Show, shall we?
God, this guy's a bummer.
Actually, not at all, because we have former Dodger Jeff Kent on the program today, who this season is a contestant on Survivor. And as Ralph was telling us yesterday, it's not a celebrity season. He just applied like everybody else, and he got in.
That's awesome.
And I wonder what kind of advantage he has being an ex-athlete. And being, used to high-pressure situations and competitiveness and all of that. But we'll talk to Jeff coming up next hour here on the Kevin and Bean Show. The iPhone 5 finally available for purchase on Friday. Some people in New York City have been lined up since Monday already to buy it at the Apple Store there. Is it worth waiting for? Is the iPhone 5 a can't-miss electronic device? We'll talk to our Channel 5 friend Rich DeMuro about that later on today. We've got comedian Anthony Jeselnik in studio with us today. Our old friend Dave Navarro, Jane's Addiction. Mm-hmm. They're playing the Halloween show at the Wiltern this year. That's a band I can never get my finger on because they break up for long periods of time and then they get back together and you never know which Jane's Addiction show is going to be your last chance to see them. But right now they seem to be going through a pretty good patch.
Okay.
So we'll talk to him about everything that's new with Jane's. He's also got a couple of solo records coming out. You walked in on your parents having sex is a phone topic we're going to attempt later on today.
And we apologize in advance, you.
Yes, we're going to put visuals in your mind, whether it happened to you or not, that you're never going to be able to forget. Also, we got more tickets. You can see Green Day at the Red Bull Sound Space here at KROQ. That's going to be happening on Monday. We got tickets for you every hour this morning on the Kevin and Bean Show. And a brand new Internet Roundup, too. That's all straight ahead right here on the world-famous KROQ.
What needs humor? What needs humor?
Kevin and Bean on KROQ.
Hi, Ralph Garman.
Hey!
How about that 18-inning Mariners-Orioles game last night? You stay up for all of that? It was only 5 hours and 44 minutes, Ralph.
Sorry, can't hear you. Cats can play me off.
Cat's got a lot to say today.
Cat says go away.
Would that be your personal definition of hell, a 6-hour baseball game?
Oh, for F's sake. Is it still going on? The season's still going on?
Yeah, there's still a couple weeks left.
It's fall
before
now.
The
It should
playoffs.
stop. Like, when summer's over, it should stop. Whoever's ahead when summer's over wins. And then let's just move on to real sports. Let's go on to real sports.
You know
F
that.
Baseball.
5:54, time for the Showbiz Beat. What's going on?
Can I get some cameras over here, Beer Mug? Hey, help me out here. Thanks so much. Appreciate it. Before I get to Showbiz News, I do have some tickets to give away to the advanced KROQ screening of Looper. Yay! Movie's going to be seen at the Sony Studios lot on Thursday, September the 27th. If you'd like to go, and why wouldn't you? Call now, 1-800-520-1067. Movies and theaters everywhere on the 28th. You'll see it a day before everybody else. And what a movie, too. A great cast. Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Bruce Willis, Emily Blunt, Paul Dano, Piper Perabo, Jeff Daniels. Come on.
Yeah, that's an incredible lineup.
It's a film where, in the future, the mob is using time travel technology to get rid of their enemies. Instead of whacking them there in 2072, they send them 30 years into the past, where assassins await, kill their victims, and dispose of the body, leaving no evidence of the crime. In 2072, where the mob is. So,
will Glenda be there?
Glenda will not be there.
Glenda was killed.
She's not in the future. She's been killed. All's fine. All's well and good. Joseph Gordon-Levitt plays one of these loopers who's killing people, living the good life, making a good living, doing his drugs, partying with his pretty girls, until one day the victim shows up on the special location where he kills people from the future. Boom, it's him. He's got to kill himself.
No.
Now what does he do? Because that dude, Bruce Willis, knows all of his little tricks and is able to get away from him, and he's hunting him down himself. Who knows him better than he does? Oh,
what happens, Ralph?
No, I don't know. At least I haven't seen it. But I can't wait. Loopers in theaters everywhere on the 28th. Oh, Lindsay Lohan.
Lindsay.
Lohan was arrested this morning.
She was serious about not wanting Amanda Bynes to get all the press.
She upped one. She upped Amanda Bynes up one by hitting a pedestrian in downtown Manhattan.
No.
Nice. According to TMZ.com, Lindsay was pulling in to park her Porsche at the Dream Hotel in downtown New York City when, at a very low speed, she allegedly hit the knee of a dude who was in front of the hotel. This was shortly after midnight. Witnesses say one of Lindsay's passengers in the SUV got out and checked the vehicle for damage. Then Lindsay and her friends went inside the hotel. Someone called the police while she was inside. When she walked out of the hotel around 2:30 a.m., by the way, wherever she was headed, she was up to no good at 2:30 a.m. Because you know what I say, nothing good ever happens after 2 a.m. To which Kevin says, yeah, but good things always happen after 2 a.m.
Right, exactly.
The cops were there waiting for her and arrested her. Booked her for leaving the scene of an accident. It's just a misdemeanor. She was released with a desk appearance ticket, meaning she did not have to pay bail before release. They were told alcohol was not involved. The alleged victim was hospitalized. He was not knocked down or dragged, didn't have any visible injuries. Now, here's the thing. This arrest could absolutely trigger a probation violation in Lindsay's case, because one of the conditions of that probation is she must obey all laws. Hitting someone with your car is not obeying the law.
And let me just add this. I know celebrities are not just like us in some cases. With the problems that Lindsay has had behind the wheel, why is she driving in Manhattan?
That was my thought, too.
I don't know.
It's called a taxi cab, right?
It is, to the best of my knowledge, called, yes, a taxi cab.
It just, she brings so much of this on herself.
I
Don't
would not
take
want
your
to try
Porsche
to drive
New York.
there. Yeah.
Dude. What are you going to do when Amanda Bynes is stealing your act? You got to up the ante. You got to start taking out pedestrians.
Yeah.
Next season on Fox, Celebrity Death Race. Amanda Bynes behind the wheel of like a tricked out Charger with spikes coming out of it and everything, and Lindsay Lohan's like in a tank, and they just take out as many people as they can.
Pay the girls
Convicted
whatever
felons.
they want to live together on a new reality series.
Hell, damn. How about celebrity boxing? I don't want to see them live together. I want to see them beat the snot out of each other. Sad news yesterday. Steve Sable, the guy behind NFL Films, passed away at his home in Moorestown, New Jersey. He was 69 years old. Steve's dad, Ed, was the guy who founded the company in 1962, but Steve was the brains behind the things that really defined NFL Films. The slow-mo, the big announcer, played, of course, legendarily by the late John Facenda originally, the compilation of big plays. He was a great dude. I knew Steve and his family. They were just over the river from Philadelphia in Moorestown, New Jersey.
No way. You knew them?
Yeah. My sister actually worked for Steve.
Wow.
He was a great guy and did a lot for the sport of football, because you got to remember, when he was cranking out those film packages, there was no videotape, there was no DVDs, there was no NFL Network. You didn't see recaps of the films. If you wanted to see footage of classic NFL films, you had to go to NFL Films and really created his own brand of sports, and was one of the selling tools that made NFL popular in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. Was the existence of those films, watching those compilations, watching those hits in slow-mo, sold that sport to a brand new generation of sports fans, and he was a really good guy. Passed away at 69 of brain cancer. So,
are they going to bury him in the frozen tundra of Lambeau Field?
I'm guessing he'll probably be buried near his home in Morristown, New Jersey.
Just couldn't not do it, could you, Bean?
Just thought it might be appropriate.
You wouldn't be able to dig into the frozen tundra of Lambeau Field.
That would be impossible.
Because the ground would be frozen.
Right.
You'd have to wait until spring for it to thaw out.
Uh-huh.
Well, it wouldn't be frozen then, would it?
Well, I'm just saying.
Dick. And don't worry about Liberty Ross. She is the estranged wife of Rupert Sanders. Remember him? He was the director of Snow White and the Huntsman.
Oh, right. Thank
who ended up dipping his wick with Kristen Stewart.
Mm-hmm.
She is a beautiful model in her own right. People are speculating whether she's going to take him back or not. Well, she's not going to take him back until she's at her own fun, apparently. She was at an event in London the other night with an excellent-looking mystery man on her arm. They were hand in hand at the event and went to a place called the Groucho Club for cocktails and dancing after wherever they were. So no word on whether he was just a friend or whether what's good for the goose is good for the gander. Right, ladies? You with me?
That's right. Yes, we are.
Okay, then. Stop it. Let's take a look at today's celebrity birthdays. Katrina Bowden. Bowden? Whatever her last name is. You know her from 30 Rock.
Sure.
She's smoking hot on that show.
Oh, yeah.
24 years old today. Danielle Panabaker from Friday the 13th and Piranha 3 Double D is 25 years old. Jimmy Fallon turns 38 years old today. Sherry O'Terry, comedian from Saturday Night Live, is 50. Jeremy Irons, super talented actor, is 64. James Lipton, host of Inside the Actors Studio, is 86 years old. Did you know he was that
No way.
old? He's a pretty sharp dude for 86.
It's amazing.
Speaking of sharp dudes, today is the day 82 years ago when magic happened in Seattle, Washington. A baby was born that would change the world as we know it. Adam West, ladies and gentlemen, was born on this date 82 years ago. Happy birthday, Adam West. How dare you, sir? Adam West, Adam West. I'm Ralph Garman. I walk the showbiz beat.
Filthy, dirty, disgusting. The Kevin and Bean Show. KROQ.
Time for a brand new Internet Roundup.
Click that mouse and open your browser. Pull up your shirt and drop them trousers. We've got shots that need your viewing. Live so hard they will start spewing. Kevin and Bean's Internet Roundup.
You could really spend the rest of your life on YouTube and not see all the awesome stuff that's out there. There's so many great videos, thousands and thousands and thousands of videos that come out every day. It's impossible to keep up with all the best ones, but we do the best we can with the Internet Roundup that we post to kevinandbean.com about once a week or so. Here's a perfect example. This is just a fan that did this who decided he was going to do his own mashup, and he took the Homecoming song from Kanye West with Chris Martin from Coldplay on it, and he mashed it together with We Are Never Ever Getting Back Together Again by Taylor Swift. Now, who would ever think of that?
That's
right?
a great idea, though.
I mean, I know that Kanye and Taylor, they have that history from the MTV show, but who would ever think of putting their songs together? And it's amazing. And this is one of the videos you'll find on the brand new Kevin and Bean Internet Roundup.
'Cause I'm coming home again. I met this girl when I was 3 years old, and what I love most, she had so much soul. She said, "Excuse me, little homie, I know you don't know me, but my name is Wendy."
It sounds great, too. Really fantastic job. Speaking of music, Ben Folds 5 is back. Their first album as a band together in 13 years, and they have done a great video that was Chris Hardwick, our friend Chris Hardwick's idea, to put the Ben Folds 5 together with Fraggle Rock. And they are all together in this video, and it is awesome, and they're singing this song.
You might put your love and trust on the line. It's risky. People love to tear that down. Let them try. Do it anyway. Risk it anyway.
Just hilarious to see the Fraggle Rock characters climbing all over their instruments while they're playing. It's so awesome to have them back because they haven't done anything in a long, long time.
Yeah.
NFL season is in full swing now. This guy did a video. It's the same guy throughout the whole video, just wearing a different jersey for every line he says. He is playing the part of every NFL fan ever.
Hey, we own our own team, and my son's middle name is Rogers Lombardi Favre. I've never even been to Dallas. Hey, you guys remember 1984? God, McMahon is good. It's not racist. It's a tribute to a proud people. Of course I love the Steelers. There is nothing else to do in Western Pennsylvania.
See, he's a Cowboys fan, and he's a Steelers fan, and he's a Redskins fan. Very well done. Every NFL fan ever on the Kevin and Bean Internet Roundup. Here's one of the coolest official videos I've ever seen. This is from UFC. They did a video. It's kind of a mashup of a whole bunch of movies reacting to Dana White canceling UFC 151. He's on the, remember when that fight got canceled a couple of weeks ago? He's on the phone on his end announcing that the film is going to be canceled, or the fight is going to be canceled. And then they have edits of all sorts of people reacting to it, from Ferris Bueller's Day Off to Jerry Maguire to Anchorman to the cast of Entourage, and it's awesome.
Hi, Dana. Thank you for taking the time to call in this morning. For the first time in 11 years, we're going to cancel an event.
Get the out of here.
Damn it!
So well done. Everyone's talking about the iPhone 5. There's always a ton of parody Apple commercials, including this one, talking about the new phone.
The iPhone 5 is the thickest and heaviest iPhone we've ever made.
Just with you.
Of course we made it thinner and lighter. 18% thinner, 20% lighter, blah, blah, blah. Are people still impressed by this?
Mm-hmm. See, Apple fans will buy anything. We don't care. Whatever you say about it, we're still going to buy it. It's got a number on it. Gangnam Style, the hottest viral video in the world, of course, by Korean rapper Psy. There's about 1 billion parodies of that song. Here's the first one that I've seen that is Adolf Hitler doing the Gangnam Style. So good. So good. Who knew Hitler could get down like that? Well done. All right, here's a video you have to see on the Internet Roundup. This guy is a tool. He's one of these guys who he claims he's not a citizen of the United States. Your laws don't affect me. I don't have to give you my last name. I'm filming everything to make sure that I don't get abused and violated in my civil rights. He's trying to walk into a courtroom with a camera. And the security guys are standing at the doorway saying, you're welcome to come in. You can't bring a camera in. That's our rules. He won't have any of it. They end up tasing him. And there's a little bit of controversy now on whether he deserved it or not. I say he deserved to be tased about 5 minutes before he was. But here's that special moment.
Well, why are you worried about cameras? Because you want to do something wrong? Because you want to do something wrong? Because if it's against the rules, that means it's because somebody intends on wronging somebody else. Because they're afraid of being held accountable. P. Barnes.
It's a nice speech, but you're still not coming in.
Please step aside. I'm going in.
No, you're not going in.
Don't touch me.
You're not going in, sir.
Let the record show that you just battered me.
Step back.
And you're using... Stop, please.
My God.
I'm not doing anything wrong.
Except being a dick.
That's
you got to see that video. It's awesome. And here's one more on this week's Internet Roundup. This is a compilation. It's so well done of 30 years of funny answers from the TV quiz show The Family Feud. All the way, all the hosts are on it. Steve Harvey and Richard Dawson, all the hosts asking questions and some of the crazy answers that people have come up with. Here's a taste of that.
Tell me the man's name that starts with the letter K. Kentucky Fried Chicken.
During what months of pregnancy does a woman begin to look pregnant?
September.
Name a place on your body that a doctor might look in with a little flashlight.
But term that means wife. Bitch.
So you get an idea how that going. Plus a brand new Jimmy Kimmel This Week at Unnecessary Censorship. All these videos available for you on a Kevin and Bean Internet Roundup at kevinandbean.com.
Kevin and Bean's Internet Roundup.
KROQ.
No thinking.
The Kevin and Bean Show.
Just stupid.
KROQ.
Been a while since I heard that sound. Lisa May, did you know that Survivor has had 25 seasons?
I had no idea. Did you know that this is the first season I intend to watch in about 5 seasons?
Really? How come? Why this time?
It just sounds really interesting. The cast sounds very interesting. They're bringing back some people I know from before. I'm kind of intrigued.
Well, they're in the Philippines, and there's one young man who's watched every season of Survivor and said, hey, I can do that, and now he has a chance to prove it. We are talking about Jeff Kent, former Dodger and Giant great, now retired from the MLB, and he is going to be one of the contestants on the season premiere tonight at 8 o'clock on CBS. Hi, Jeff. Welcome to the show, man. How are you?
Hey, good morning, Bean. It's good to talk to you, buddy.
Great to have you on, too. As I said when I brought John, we all have watched Survivor and thought, oh, dude, I could totally do that. I would so win this show if I was on, but very few of us get a chance to prove it. How long have you wanted to be on Survivor?
Probably from the first episode. I sat there, being a couch potato like everybody else watching the show and figuring out that, hell, I think I can do that. That's not that hard. And, finally had an opportunity now that I'm retired to go out there and, show my underwear and see if I can do this thing.
It doesn't look at all hard to you starving and trying to do stuff?
It was, it's real, and I think that's what's, great about the show itself is everything was real. There's no do-overs. There's no hey, cut, time out. Can I have a candy bar? There's nothing like that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's real, and it's a pretty neat show.
How do you keep up? I've always wanted to ask this question. How do you keep up with the shows that you want to watch when you're playing baseball in a different city every night? How do you even, you just fill up your DVR and then when you finally get home for the homestand, you watch 80 hours of television in a row?
Well, Bean, you've been around for a long time, man. I was listening to you when I was a kid, so we didn't have DVR. It was like trying to set up the VCR to tape your shows on VHS tape, when you started a long time ago. But now it's DVR, and now it's, heck, you just go on the Internet and watch a show. So, baseball during the baseball seasons, absolutely. I'd load that DVR up and watch all these shows.
I know everybody has asked you this question, Jeff, but our listeners are dying to know. When you walked in there and met all of your competitors, the people on your team and the people that you're going to be working against, you probably can't say how many of them recognized you, but was your goal to go under the radar and hope that you would not be known as a celebrity?
Well, my goal, twofold. I had a goal. It was going in thinking first thing I needed to do was adjust and adapt to anything that came my way. And watching Jimmy Johnson a couple years back, or a couple seasons back, play on the show and kind of get booted early, a lot of it had to do with him being a celebrity and already being a rich guy or assumed rich guy, and him getting kicked out. I don't know if that was going to be the play or not going into the show. So, I'm kind of a twofold guy. As I played ball, sure, but then now when I'm retired, I also have a second life, and part of me wanted to play off that second life because it was more normal. It wasn't celebrity. It wasn't extreme. So I was prepared either way, and you'll have to watch. But, if it were to unfold, how was I going to react? So,
sure.
Socially, I needed to be prepared, or I would get my butt kicked off early.
Yeah, that's one of the advantages you have with the career that you had for all those years, 17 years, I guess, in the major leagues, is that you are built to anticipate. I mean, especially as a second baseman, that's your job, is to figure out every possible scenario that's coming your way in the next 5 seconds. And what am I going to do if A happens? What am I going to do if B happens? Sounds like you've managed to translate that into real-world skills, too. Yeah, well, physically, I didn't think it was going to be that big of a deal. I think that the show is absolutely fair for the little guy or the big guy, the big girl. It doesn't matter. It's. I think it's fair that way. Socially, how do you adapt? And for 17 plus years, I played in big league scenarios and locker rooms with 30 guys, all on the competitive edge of being nasty and nice and mean and dirty. And so I was able to socially network with all these different players throughout my years, and I was hoping to use those skills if I needed them on the show. Look, if you can get along with Barry Bonds, you can get along with anybody. That's what I've always said. Let me ask you about a couple of the other contestants on this season of Survivor. If you're just joining us here on the Kevin and Bean Show, we're talking to Jeff Kent, yes, the former Dodger. He's going to be one of the participants on Survivor when it debuts tonight on Channel 2. You have a former Miss Delaware and also a Miss Teen USA from Utah. Both look really hot. Which one is more annoying?
I'll have to let that drama play out on TV, but that was a challenge in itself. Being was trying to tell the wife, "Hey, I'm going to go hang out with a bunch of good-looking, half-naked girls on the beach for about 7 weeks. Can you deal with it?" And that was a challenge.
You've watched every season of Survivor, Jeff. Have there been a lot of hookups among the contestants throughout the years?
Not a whole lot. I think whether they've happened under cameras' eyes or not. I know there's been a few. I wasn't there to do that for sure, but
no, of course not. Of course not. But you're starving and you're filthy, so that's not the sexiest thing in the world, right?
No, let me tell you. That was gross. Watching these people develop, not take showers, not brush their teeth, and hair not being washed, and then them get involved emotionally and physically, I'm thinking I'm past that, and I don't. Some of these kids doing that was beyond me.
Yeah. Well, I think there's only 2 contestants from California on Survivor starting tonight, so you're going to have an awful lot of people rooting for you here in the Golden State, that's for sure. And I know you can't say too much about what happens, as you said. We'll have to wait and see how it plays out. But was it a positive experience? Did you have fun? Was it everything you hoped it would be all these years that you wanted to be on the show, Jeff?
Yeah, it was. And what was scary about it was going in and thinking that they were going to manipulate the show and kind of stage it, and it wasn't the case. I mean, it's real. You go with the clothes on your back, and that's all you get. And so I was happy about that. Glad I had the chance. Whether I'd do it again or not, I'd have to scratch my head. But it was fun enough to think about that I absolutely appreciated the opportunity.
Super fun. Season premiere of Survivor tonight at 8 o'clock on CBS. Jeff Cann, a real pleasure to have you on, man. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
It's messing with my head. So hard.
Kevin and Bean on KROQ.
Lisa, you were saying you're interested in hearing about this iPhone 5.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I need a new phone.
And you're not one of the Apple cult members like so many of us are.
I am for everything but phones.
Well, it may be time to get on board. Apple sold over 2 million iPhone 5s in the first 24 hours that the phones were available for pre-sale. They go on sale. You can pick them up starting Friday. We understand there are some people in New York City who have been lined up since Monday to buy these phones. That may be a little bit extreme.
Crazy.
Rich DeMuro joins us back on the Kevin and Bean Show. He, of course, is the tech reporter for our friends over at KTLA Channel 5. Hey, Rich, how are you, man?
Hey, I'm doing great. Good morning, Bean. Good morning, Lisa. May. Always wanted to say that.
Oh, well, thank you. Good morning.
Have you held the mysterious iPhone 5 in your own hand yet, Rich?
I have held the mysterious iPhone 5. I was one of the few people that got to go up to the Apple event up in San Francisco last week. We got a couple of minutes of hands-on time with it, but let me tell you, this thing is beautiful. They have outdone themselves on the design of this one.
Really? Now, I got so many questions for you in the limited time we have. First off, are we now seeing technology that was developed after Steve Jobs died, or does this still have Steve's fingerprints all over it, like he was already involved in this version of the phone, do you think?
I think definitely Steve was involved in this version of the phone, because these things definitely have a couple years time where they look at them, where they study them, and they figure out what features are going to be in them next. And when you look at something like the actual tech specs of the phone, it's not stuff that we're not seeing in other phones already. So this is technology that's been out there, but the way Apple does it, they just do it the best. They just make it beautiful, and they make this phone, it's thin, it's light, it's fast. I mean, they've really outdone themselves on this. And when you see it, you've already had 2 million people that pre-ordered this thing before they even got their hands on it. You have people lining up around the country already to say, hey, I'm going to drop $200, $300 on this thing without even seeing it. I mean, that just shows you how powerful this device is.
Well, people have not been disappointed with previous versions of the phone. I mean, there's always something new. Now, the buzz when the last phone came out, the 4S, was Siri. That was the game changer. Is there anything like that that's a big talking point for the iPhone 5?
I think the LTE, 4G LTE is the big game changer on this phone. That means that everything you do on this phone is going to be way faster than what you've ever experienced on an iPhone. So when you're out and about, if you're not even in a Wi-Fi area, you're going to be able to download things fast. You're going to be able to surf the web fast, upload to Facebook. And these networks have really not been used in a big way. I mean, Android phones have the LTE on them, but now that the iPhone, which is the most popular phone out there, has it, it's really going to give these networks a run for their money come Friday.
Interesting. Now, this is the first time I can remember in an iPhone announcement, Rich, where they made a big deal about the phone being bigger in some respect. It's a larger screen, right?
Yeah, so the basic newness of this phone, it's got a larger screen. It's got a 4-inch screen. This is the first time Apple's ever made the screen on their phone bigger. It's been a 3.5-inch screen since day one. But here's the neat thing about what they did, because we've seen a million phones that come out that have a huge screen. The tough thing is they're really big in your hand, and they're kind of tough to maneuver. It takes a little bit of time to get used to, like, the bigger screen. This one still feels the exact same way in your hand because it's the same width. It's just taller. So when you actually try to put your thumb on it to use it with one hand, it works pretty well. You'll notice you'll get one extra row of icons. So if you're like me, you've figured out exactly the icons you want on your home screen. Well, guess what? Your OCD is going to kick in. You're going to figure out all the new apps you want on there.
Rich, as a tech reporter, as a guy who spends all day working in this field, I'm dying to know, how many apps do you have on your phone?
I think I've probably downloaded hundreds of apps. I keep maybe about 100 on there at any given time. But here's the deal. I download apps all day long because I'm testing them out both on Android and iPhone. So the core apps that I use are pretty much the basic apps that everyone uses on a daily basis. But, I'm literally trying out new apps probably 3 to 4 times a day. And sometimes, you've got to go through that sign-up process. So it's definitely a lot to try these things out, but it's a lot of fun as well.
Talking to Rich DeMuro on the phone from Channel 5. He's their tech reporter, always does great stuff for us, talking about the iPhone 5. Let me ask you about this. What's it called? Is it Lightning? Is it Thunderbolt? Which one am I thinking of? This new cable that they're introducing for the iPhone 5. And that is good. Some people are already complaining, hey, wait, now do I have to go out and replace all of my cables if I want to sync it up with my laptop or if I want to plug it into my, to my radio? What's the deal on this?
Yeah, between Thunderbolt and Lightning, you'd think that they have a bunch of meteorologists working over there at Apple. But
or Bohemian Rhapsody fans.
Yeah. This one is called Lightning, and it's a smaller connector. And, it's been many years since Apple changed the connector on the phone. They had to do this to get the phone thinner. They had to do this to make the phone faster so that when you sync it and it works with all these new accessories. The problem is twofold. First off, you're going to need all new accessories or an adapter. The adapter is $30. But here's the deal. You're going to get the adapter for your accessories. Not only do you need a couple of them, because think about it. You got a charger in the car, a dock by your bedside, a charger at the office. You're going to get 3 of these things. That's, $90 right there. You're going to use them for about a week, and you're going to go, this is the ugliest implementation I've ever seen. Who wants to have a cable plugged into another cable plugged into your phone?
Right.
No one. So the next thing you're going to do is say, all right, fine. I'm going to buy all new accessories. I'm going to break down and get the new charger, the new dock for my phone. But the good news is this accessory is going to last us for a while because now that they've built the next generation, it's going to last a lot longer for the iPhone. And here's the other thing. It goes in either way. So when you put the cable in, there's no one way. I don't know about USB cables. You plug them in. It's like, oh, I'm plugging it upside down. You got to flip it over and try to plug it in. This one goes in either way, which is really nice.
It's just amazing. I mean, Apple is already the most valuable company in the world. I think they just passed $700 a share the other day. They couldn't make money any faster than they are. I read one article that said that they're going to make hundreds of millions of dollars just on selling the adapters and the new cables to people.
Absolutely. No matter how little the adapter costs them to make, for some reason, every adapter at Apple costs $29. I don't know what to do with that, but that's the way they price them. And here's the thing about this company. They make profit hand over fist. You got a company like Amazon. I don't know about you, but I'm getting the Amazon UPS guy at my house 3 times a week. He's delivering me a ton of stuff. But Amazon's not making the profit that Apple is. When Apple sells these phones, they're making a nice spread on the profit between the phone and how much they cost these parts out for. So
All
Apple's
right.
just making a ton of money, and they continue to just keep kicking butt.
In our remaining moment here, Rich, and we're very appreciative of you coming on today. We know how busy you are this week. I have to ask, what's the availability going to be like? We heard that there are several weeks out in pre-ordering on the website. What are my chances if I go down to a Best Buy or someplace on Friday? How hard is it going to be to actually buy an iPhone 5 this weekend?
That's a good question. You never really know with Apple because, of course, they're going to sell out on the pre-orders because they want to make that next headline. This weekend, you're going to see Friday, the lines at the stores. I would say this weekend might be a little tough, like if you go into the stores, but maybe by next weekend we'll see some more supply. But it's a catch-22 because Apple definitely wants to make that supply tight so that they have the lines and they get all the hype and the media buzz about it. But the reality is, look, Apple wants to make these phones. They want to sell these phones. So if you want an iPhone 5, you will be able to get your hands on it. It could just be a matter of time.
And can't they just get like 100,000 more little Chinese kids into that suicide factory to start cranking them out?
Well, there's only so many people in China that can make these things, so they've got to keep having babies over there and
keep up with Rich on Twitter at Rich DeMuro. That's DEMURO, and the website is richdemuro.com from KTLA Channel 5. Rich, great to have you on today, man. Thank you.
Great to be on.
The Kevin and Bean Show.
Now, I'm going to play you some music just to make you forget all your troubles.
KROQ.
How about Anthony Jeselnik in studio with us here on the Kevin and Bean Show, performing at the Brea Improv. He's going to be there tomorrow night and Friday and Saturday. Hey, Anthony, how are you?
Good, man. Good. Thanks for having me.
It's
thanks
great
for
to
getting
have...
thanks for getting the name right. I appreciate that. First try.
Oh, really? Is that a difficult name for some people? Because it's pronounced exactly the same way it's spelled, I think.
Yeah, it should be. That's what I say. But people are idiots.
What do they? How do they murder it? Do they Jeselnik? What do they say to you?
I get Jeselnik a lot. I think people are kind of they go dyslexic on the last couple letters, or Jeselnik. I get, and then they act like it's my fault that they can't pronounce it. So I appreciate the effort.
Well, I think I've been seeing you for a long time on the roasts and your specials and things like that. So I guess maybe I've just been exposed to it and am used to it. But I've been fascinated to have you on for a number of reasons. First of all, and I don't mean this in a gay way. You're a super good-looking dude. And how does a super good-looking dude end up in comedy? Because I think the reason why Louis C.K. and Jeff Ross and those guys go into comedy is because they need something. They got to come up with something that'll get the girls to look at them. But a guy like you, why aren't you playing sports or something?
Well, I agree with you that, both Jeff and Louis are very ugly people. And I think I could have done some other things. I could have been a model.
Sure.
I could have been like a famous actor who was just famous for being attractive. But I just always loved comedy. And kind of like when I got into it, the challenge of being like a funny person who was also good looking. I sound like the biggest conceited jerk while I'm talking about this. But it was hard to do. So I think that's why I kind of got to do a fun persona and be kind of like a villain on stage, was just to kind of mess with people.
So now all other guys must hate you because now you're getting the chicks for being a good looking dude. You're also getting the chicks for being the the life of the party and stuff, right? So,
oh yeah, I've got so many different ways to get chicks, and I really am. I'm always the life of the party. Always throwing my dead baby jokes around to get the party started. Yeah.
Let's talk about your brand of comedy for folks who haven't heard you. You are very big in the dead babies. You're you dabble in incest a little bit,
of course,
rape.
All the biggies, essentially.
Yeah, anything
Murder.
people don't want to hear jokes about, I've got several jokes about it. I think it's just the most fun way to go about it. Make people uncomfortable and get the biggest laughs that way.
So if somebody's coming to your show and they're already, God forbid, they're battling cancer right now, you can make sure that they'll feel worse when they leave, right? By bringing on your cancer chunk.
I like to think I make them feel better. I get a lot of people who people who get upset are people who aren't really experiencing the things that I'm talking about. Like people who don't have cancer get mad about cancer. Like on the last roast, the Roseanne roast, I had a joke about John Ritter being dead, and people got really mad at me about that. And then Jeff Ross actually told me that he met John Ritter's widow and her daughter, who said, "Tell Anthony, we never met him, but tell him that we love that joke." So people who are like going through that, like I help those people. I just don't help everybody.
Right. But I know exactly what you're talking about because it's the people who aren't John Ritter's family who think John Ritter's family are going to be offended. They're the ones who are mad at you.
Exactly.
That totally makes sense.
Yeah.
You grew up in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania?
That's right.
Regular family growing up? Any tragedy or drama in your life as a young man?
No, we had a very happy family until they were killed in a fire. But before that, everything was great. Now my parents are still together. I'm the oldest of 5 kids, 3 sisters and a brother. They're all doing great. Yeah, normal family.
Funny? Was your family funny?
Not really.
Really?
I was the funny one.
You're the only one?
Yeah. They could be funny, but they aren't really. Not at all. Yeah.
Okay.
I was the one who kind of reached out.
Enlightened them.
I remember being a kid and watching Saturday Night Live, and my parents thought it was gross, and they would say crude and rude a lot. Like that's crude and rude, and that just really attracted me as a kid. I was like, oh, I want to be that.
Yeah,
sure.
Whatever your parents were against was big for me.
And what was your entry into comedy? How did it work for you? Was it open mics or what?
I took a class. I came out to L.A. right after college. I didn't know what I was going to do. And then I decided, well, what would my dream job be? And I thought I'd like to have a job where I just sat around a table, just like this, throwing out jokes with other funny people and be a joke writer. And someone said, well, if you want to do that, then why don't you get into stand-up because that'll help you get your humor out there. And I took a class and started doing open mics. And, by the time I finally got that writing job on Jimmy Fallon a couple years ago, stand-up was going so well, and I thought I'd rather do this. I don't have to answer to anybody.
So Fallon reached out to you, gave you that leg up, and then you instantly stabbed him in the back and left him.
Oh yeah, right. Actually, not even in the back, right in the chest. I did it for a year, and I said, "I'm out of here. I'm gonna overtake you someday." And now I've got my own show coming out in January.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you're got a new Comedy Central show, right?
Yeah, coming out in January.
By the way, they are bringing it with Jeff Ross's The Burn, which I think is one of the best new shows of the year. I don't know how much you've had it. Yeah, I know you've been on it, Anthony, but it's so funny, right?
Oh yeah, I've seen them all. It's been it's just a great show.
And then you've got a show, and I think your friend Amy Schumer's got a show coming out next year too.
Yeah, Amy will have one coming out sometime in the spring. Yeah,
they're really doing some awesome stuff. Anthony Jeselnik is here on the Kevin and Bean Show. He's going to be at the Brea Improv tomorrow night, then 2 shows Friday, 2 shows Saturday. How much do you play around Southern California?
Not that much. I'd like to do more. I've been on the road all over the country and in the world lately. But now I'm in Brea. Then I go to San Diego and San Jose, so I get to kind of stay local for a little bit, which will be nice.
Tickets are just $20. You can get them through BreaImprov.com. Thursday night, Friday night, and Saturday. So 5 chances for you to see Anthony on stage. We want to talk about Australia and a bunch of other stuff with our guests when we return right after this on the Kevin and Bean Show on KROQ.
The Kevin and Bean Show.
Rated R for pirates.
The world's famous KROQ.
You on Twitter refer to yourself in your bio as a professional killer. I get that. Do you get a lot of hate for your tweets too, by the way? Or if people are following you, that's what they're hoping for. They're expecting that.
Yeah, it's almost like they expect too much from me. Like whenever someone dies now, like Steve Sable, the guy from NFL Films, died, and they're like, "Where's your tweet about him?" I'm like, "I'm not going to talk about Steve Sable's death. That's crazy." I kind of like make fun of. There's always like an outpouring of like fake sympathy when someone dies on Twitter, and I'm kind of making fun of that. So I get a lot of I don't get so much hate. I get a lot of too soon, which is the dumbest thing I can ever hear. There's no such thing as too soon. Like if you wait even a day or two, or like a week after something horrible happens and make a joke about it, it's too late. I worry about too late. Not
with
too
Twitter,
soon.
that is true. I mean, we've had that too soon debate often on the air because we don't really want to be hated. But with Twitter, you're right, because people just forget and move on.
Exactly.
You really got to be right on top of stuff.
Yeah, totally. And I love just you try to hit that sweet spot where just like it carries. It's a lot of fun to do. I've only tweeted like 600 times or something.
I noticed you don't tweet. You're certainly not like 5 or 10 times a day like I see some people.
I wait till something horrible happens and then I make a joke.
You're just waiting.
Yeah.
On the pounce.
Here's a couple of your death tweets, Anthony. Michael Clark Duncan is the Ving Rhames of corpses. I think that one's very good.
Thank you.
Thank you. 1 dead, 0 wounded in Sherman Hemsley massacre. I like that. Other than that, how was the movie? I take it that was after Aurora, Colorado. See, that's not too
couple
soon,
hours
right?
afterwards. Yeah.
Wow.
Couple hours.
Ouch.
Yeah.
How is it you have avoided the controversy that has hit Tosh and Dane Cook and others, where people in the comedy clubs have been offended or recorded the act on their iPhone and put it up on the internet, and all of a sudden there's big controversy. How have you avoided all that?
I think it's because I'm always like that. Like, I'm always talking about death and horrible things and tragedies, that I'm not, like, Tosh, Dane Cook, those guys are like your buddy, kind of, and they're kind of like that, they're like your friends, so when they say something really horrible, it's almost like a betrayal in a certain way, that people can view it that way, whereas I'm never your friend, I'm not your coworker, I'm always saying horrible things, so if people try to complain, it looks bad on them, like they don't get it, so I think I avoid it just by always doing it, you can't get in trouble for a rape joke when you open with a rape joke.
Well, that's true, too.
Yeah.
Goodbye, Rodney King, the original Rihanna, another favorite of mine. What's it like? You mentioned that you've been traveling all over the world. Now you're back in Southern California, the States in Brea, but is there a different sensibility in terms of appropriate humor around the world compared to what you get in the United States?
Not really. I thought that there would be. I thought going to like Ireland or going to Australia, they would have kind of more of a better sense of humor or be able to like take jokes better. I think American audiences can be very sensitive, but I think it's comedy fans versus non-comedy fans really. Like I had people walk out of my show in Australia crying my first show. They got so upset.
What did you say?
I think it's my normal act.
They just didn't know what to expect.
Yeah,
they came in blind.
It's like if I do a festival. If you come see me at Brea, people are there to see me. So it's like it's this communal, let's laugh at these horrible things together. But when I'm at like a festival, people have been outside drinking, watching music all day, and they come in and just sit. They want like a cool place to sit down, and they're getting me. It's gonna be tough.
They're gonna cry.
Yeah. So people everywhere are pretty much the same. I haven't found anyone. People are like, oh, if you go to the Midwest, do they not get it? I'm like, they get it. They totally get it. It's just I'm for smart people, not some demographic.
I've always thought that one big pothole that you could get yourself into around the world, though, is just that there's different celebrities, right? Is that they may not be that familiar with some of the people you talk about.
Well, I only talk about celebrities really on Twitter. All my act is very almost timeless. I'm talking about family members or just friends. I never really go into famous people or tragedies in my act. The one thing that can get tough is like if I like to make fun of the place where I am. You know, like a lot of comics will make fun of like the nearby town. They'll be like, "Oh, at least you're not from blah blah blah." I like to make fun of the town I'm in. It just seems like a little like ballsier.
It's more honest.
Exactly. And when I went to Australia and did that, they were furious.
Really?
Because I'm an American coming in and making fun of them. That it wasn't the same. They didn't get that joke. So I had to change my tune a little bit.
Yeah, you had to change your act.
Yeah, not change my act, but just I couldn't make fun of them the way that I wanted to, that I normally would, because they were just way too sensitive about an American coming in. Yeah.
I get the impression, and we're lucky enough doing this job, Anthony, that we have a lot of comedians on. I'm sure a lot of friends of yours have been on this show over the years, and a lot of them are just miserable sumbitches. Are you that way too? Do you think you're basically an unhappy person, or is this a switch that you flip and then you're in your regular life, things couldn't be going any better for you?
I am very happy in my life. I find that comedians who seem like really happy people on stage are miserable off stage, and people who seem like just total like monsters on stage are pretty well balanced off, you know. And I understood that going in. You know, I kind of looked at comedy in the way that I looked at the history of comedy and realized that people who seem very therapeutic on stage didn't really seem like they were getting any better from that therapy. You know, that I thought, let's just be pure comedy and go after the toughest things I can, and I couldn't be happier.
Interesting. Yeah, there's so many different ways to do comedy. Who's your favorite comedian that's out now? Like, besides yourself, besides good-looking Anthony Jeselnik, who do you love?
Of course, I'm a big Amy Schumer fan. I love
She's
Sarah,
incredible.
Great. Sarah Silverman is one of my favorites of all time. Stephen Wright is still, like, if I'm going to go old school, is one of my absolute favorites. Todd Glass is a guy that I love. The hardest I've ever laughed in my life was watching Todd Glass the first time. Just amazing.
You get hooked doing comedy, and are you a guy who couldn't imagine doing anything else? I mean, like, this is your love. If you couldn't do something where you were funny, would you be miserable?
No, I don't think so. I kind of look at like what Steve Martin went through. You know, Steve Martin was the best comedian in the world for a while, and then went off and did movies and writes books. That I could see myself doing something like that someday. Just there's certain things I love about it. There's certain things I hate. You know, Steve Martin said he quit because of the Late Show Friday. You know, he'd do a whole weekend, and that Late Show Friday where everyone's drunk and tired from the work week, he hated it. And I could see walking away at some point. But that's far off in the future.
Yeah, you got to make your millions first, man.
Exactly.
And learn how to play the banjo. Apparently that's where it's going.
Oh my God.
Brea Improv, it's going to be tomorrow night at 8, then 2 shows, including that late drunk show on Friday night, 8 and 10 on Friday, and then 7 and 9 on Saturday. Tickets are available for just $20, Brea Improv. So when's the TV show, before we let you go, when's the TV show? January in Comedy Central?
Yeah, end of January. I'll be premiering after the season premiere of Tosh. I believe it might be the 29th or something, but I'm not exactly sure. But I'll be on at 10:30 right after Tosh.
And what's the format of the show going to be? What's it going to be like?
It's going to be kind of like, I would say, my version of Tosh, kind of. You know, I'm going to be talking about kind of the stories that you guys would talk about. You know, the fun stories that people would email each other rather than the presidential election and things like that. I just don't care about stuff like that. But if an alligator eats a kid, I'm all over that. You know, that's where I live.
Well, what's there not to like about that? That is everything you look for, right?
Exactly.
Well, I hope we get a chance to talk to you before you debut back on the TV on Comedy Central.
Definitely, I'd love to come back.
Love to have you back in. AnthonyJeselnik.com, and you should definitely follow him on Twitter at Anthony Jeselnik, and go see him on stage at the Brea Improv Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Thanks for stopping by, man.
Thanks for having me, guys.
These kinds of guys don't change.
Kevin and Bean.
You think they ever suddenly wake up and realize the error of their ways and clean up their act? No! They just keep ruining everyone's lives, and the world is better off without them.
KROQ.
Thanks for listening to the Kevin and Bean Show here on a Wednesday. One of your last chances, I'm guessing, to see Jane's Addiction for a while, as they are wrapping up their Great Escape Artist Tour, October the 27th at the Wiltern. Our friend Dave Navarro joining us on the Kevin and Bean Show. Haven't been a while since we talked to Dave. How are you, man?
I'm good. How are you?
Great to talk to you. Jane's Addiction wrapping up another tour. 10 years ago, who would have ever thought in 2012 you guys would be out there getting it done all over this great land of ours, right?
Probably not us, for sure, for starters. But, yeah, October 27th at the Wiltern. That's Halloween weekend. And you guys have been really great. You guys are doing a pre-sale for us on your website. And
yes, KROQ Street Team presale is going to be tomorrow at 10 a.m. So that's your first chance. If you're a KROQ Street Team member, of course, it's free to register and enter at KROQ.com. So you get a chance to buy them before they go on sale to the public. That's tomorrow at 10. And then the on sale Friday is going to be at 10 o'clock, and that's whatever tickets are left. Why play a place as small as the Wiltern? Is it fun for you guys to just get all intimate with the fans some nights, for Jane's Addiction shows?
This tour has been, it's the Theater of the Escapist Tour, and we've been in in basically theater-sized venues, and production is really it's somewhat immersive in the sense that it kind of carries throughout the venue, like in the foyer, in the audience, in the stage, and we've just found that the theater setting probably serves it best, and it just makes for a better show.
Yeah, and you guys have always been, great visually, and obviously Perry is so theatrical, and you are too with the crazy stuff you're wearing and doing on stage. It must be, it does kind of make sense, I guess, to do it in a venue like that where everybody can get close and personal.
Yeah, and it is, like you said, it's an intimate situation, and, we've done a lot of big stages where we're what seems to be miles away from the audience, and it's really disconnected for us. And so, like, the more within the element of the venue we can be, the better.
How's everybody getting along now at the end of a long tour?
Actually, great. I mean, we've been together now almost as long as we ever were. I mean, this is one of the believe it or not. I mean, this is like we're closing in on just as long as the original run, and we're having a blast, man. We're looking forward to making another record, and we're kind of in this for the long haul.
That's so great to hear, because here's the thing about Jane's. Once you guys got together, we all knew that it was, temporary, that you guys were going to get together, do a few shows or whatever. We thought you wouldn't even make a record. Then you made a record, and we thought, that's cool, we'll get a tour out of you. And then we thought you guys would vanish into the ether again. But you're hanging around, and it sounds like it's inspiring everybody, and you want to keep doing it, which is such great news.
Yeah, it really is. I appreciate that. We're just realizing that it's a lot better for us to be working in this element, in this environment, than to go off and do other stuff on our own. I mean, Perry and I especially, do a bunch of different things, outside of Jane's, and I think that keeps us really inspired to return to Jane's.
Yeah.
So, I mean, back in the old days, we didn't really have time to take on other projects, and now, technology in the world is such that it allows us to basically do whatever we want. It's kind of an amazing time.
How are you doing? How are you feeling personally these days, Dave?
No, really good. We just wrapped up the tour, and I took a little vacation in New York, so that's where I am now. And just kind of kicking around New York. I'm loving it.
What's better than New York in the fall, right?
It's really amazing right now. The weather is absolutely beautiful, and I'm not one for the daytime.
No, you're a known vampire.
Yeah, I'm a known vampire, and but I got to say, there's something about this time of year out here that's the most tolerable daytime that I can think of.
Yeah, autumn in New York. Now, I see, just briefly before we let you go, and again, this is the voice of our friend Dave Navarro here on the Kevin and Bean Show, talking about Jane's Addiction at the Wiltern, October 27th. KROQ Street Team presale is tomorrow at 10, public on sale Friday at 10. You can get all the details at KROQ.com. I hear that you do have some new solo album plans. In your head, you already have mapped out maybe even a couple of records that you're going to make, right?
Yeah, that's interesting. I do a radio show, an online radio show, and I mentioned that to a caller, and somehow that got picked up. But yeah, that's when there's downtime from Jane's, and like like we're saying, we're wrapping up the tour. I want to work on a couple of different records, and my tastes vary so much. I just figured I would go with two complete different genres. So that's something I have mapped out for sure.
Meaning something could be like a rock and roll band album, and something else could be more like a experimental jazz thing or something like that, or what?
It could be. It's not going to be, but what it's probably going to be. I as a guitar player, I've always wanted to do the self-indulgent, solo guitar player record. And then, but of course, I still love songwritings and songs and storytelling. So one's going to be songs, and the other is going to be just guitar music.
The other is going to be just guitar, something that's so self-indulgent it probably shouldn't be released to the public.
Definitely should not be released.
All right.
I'm going to make it available anyway.
Sure, why the hell not? Let me ask you one more thing. We saw something. In fact, I think we even tried to get you on the phone like a month ago or something. We saw something that you were doing that fascinated us, Dave. And it involves meat hooks.
Oh, you're talking about suspension. Yeah.
Yes. Are you really into that?
Yeah, that's really a special thing. I've been around the process and people who've been suspending for a long. For your listeners who don't know, it's basically piercing through the skin and then hanging, essentially. And it's very difficult to explain to people who don't do it, but there's something really peaceful about it.
How is it not just like torture? How is it not exactly what you would do to somebody in Abu Ghraib? I mean, or Guantanamo. I mean, seriously, how is that not terrifying and incredibly painful?
Because the endorphins in your body kind of kick in to a degree where the pain is manageable, and then really the best thing best way I can explain it is that once suspended, your mind kind of becomes a still lake. And it's actually really a peaceful process, and it's one of the only ways that I've found that I can shut my brain off without doing tons of drugs. Which
how else to make the pain manageable is not to put hooks through your skin.
That's a great idea. I hadn't thought of that.
How far are you suspended off the ground?
I guess a couple of feet. Although when this last year with Jane's Addiction, we had 2 female suspension artists, Miss Crash and Samar, and they were hanging maybe 50 feet above the stage on either side of the band, and those are the real heroes. I mean, those 2 have been doing it for years and years and years, and certainly were inspiring to me. And our buddy Steve Truitt is the guy who suspends them, hangs them, and hoists them up like that.
Unbelievable. So, when you did it or do it, how many hooks do they use?
The first couple of times we used 4, and then moved it down to 2.
And how long do you hang for?
6 or 7 hours.
Oh my
God! No, like 10, 15 minutes.
Dave, that isn't good for you.
What's going on, dude?
Okay, well now I feel better.
10 to 15 minutes, and this is something you really. I mean, you said it gives you peace. It makes you feel like forget your cares and just relax and just zone, and it's something you feel better after doing.
A lot of people. I mean, it's an interesting subject. A lot of people get different things out of it. Some people find a real spiritual quality to it. Others just want to walk through the fear of doing it, much like, much like extreme sports or tattoos or whatever. Right. And other people just find like a calming effect. And some people find a real natural high because, let's face it, your body's flipping out and shooting all kinds of endorphins everywhere.
Yeah.
And, for the next week or so, you're kind of in this weird, I don't want to say spiritual, but just kind of a peaceful mindset, which is pretty great. So
I wonder if the reaction that you're describing is because, and you may have nodded to this, is that you have an addictive personality and you need something going on in your brain that's exciting, that releases chemicals or whatever, and this is a way that you found to do it that is not ultimately detrimental to your health.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not doing this every day. I mean,
right.
That's the thing. Is
of course, that would be crazy.
The girls who were hanging with the band were doing it every day. I mean, I'm certainly a novice in this area, but I mean, these people do some pretty amazing things with their bodies, and it just was fascinating to me. So my initial attempt at it was just because it was fascinating, and I wanted to give it a try. And then I had no idea that there was going to be any kind of physical or spiritual or mental payoff to it. And,
that's why you do half the stuff you do is you don't know what's going to happen, and that's kind of the thrill. I mean, look, no one can say Dave Navarro is not getting the most out of living life.
No, that's for sure. I've been pretty blessed. I appreciate that.
Jane's Addiction at the Wiltern, final show of the tour supporting the great escape artist. It's going to be awesome, and they're going to blow out all the stops for the hometown crowd. Saturday night, October 27th. Tickets go on sale for the KROQ Street Team members tomorrow at 10. Public on sale is Friday. Follow Dave on Twitter at Dave Navarro, and, of course, janesaddiction.com. Man, it's always interesting to catch up with you, dude. Thanks so much for coming on.
Yeah, thank you. And you know what? I just want to say thanks for just always supporting us over the years, and thanks for the pre-sale thing. This is, it's going to be a great night, and we owe you guys a lot. Thank you so much.
We couldn't love you anymore, dude. Have a great one. Bye-bye.
Kevin and Bean.
Scrawny-ass sissies.
On KROQ.
First, though, let's take a look at some email. We're getting a lot of calls on a lot of emails, rather, on a lot of topics that we have been discussing here on the Kevin and Bean Show recently. A lot of times people have follow-up on things that they've heard us do on the air. Mm-hmm. For instance, here's one. Teresa, who has emailed us, talking about, Ralph, you remember the topic we were doing on pity sex a couple of days ago?
Yeah, sure.
And Lisa, of course, has been kind enough to do some pity sex and summer vacations.
For all of us here in the studio, actually. Yeah.
Teresa says, I can't call in because I'm at my boring desk job, but for me, a lot of the pity sex came from a guy takes you out, buys you a meal, puts some time and effort to you. After a date or two, it's the least you can do. Putting out is always a choice, ladies. It's your body, blah, 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 but stop it being so stingy with all the sex. If you're uncomfortable with pity sex, then how about at least giving the man a handy? Make the world a less sexually frustrated place.
That's not pity sex. That's obligation.
Thank
ladies.
you.
If we
Thank
buy you a meal,
Teresa.
that's a contract.
Here's a follow-up that shocked me, basically. We were doing that story, you recall, about the things that are being banned in Russia. Remember, they're trying to clean up television, the cartoons. And they talked about how they can't show the movie Pretty Woman over there anymore.
Right.
And we were saying, who's going to see Pretty Woman and go into prostitution? That was our complaint, right?
Yes.
Hey, Bean, Paul, one of our Portland podcast listeners, writes in, big fan of the show. I work with homeless youth in the city, caring for them and aiding their return to society. Many of my kids are trafficked into street prostitution, underage and those of age in the city. I was listening to the bit about the Russians banning movies, and I thought you guys should know that Pretty Women is still being used by pimps as a way to lure women and girls to the trade. It seems weird after all those years, but girls who are abused and broken fall for it all the time.
No,
is that a surprise to you?
Very much.
Don't take this as me attacking you guys. I love the show. The bit was great. In my line of work, I see a lot of abuse and stuff. Your show makes me laugh every day. I just thought you guys should know the info. P.S. Please fire beer mug, says Paul.
Sure.
What?
Working on it.
Here's someone who wonders why, dear Katie writes in, Dear Bean, I just had to point out that you were much more skeptical of Jesse Ventura when the governor was on and his idea of eliminating political parties than you were of that girl who claimed to have been abducted by aliens. I mean, really, which one is less likely? P.S. Please fire beer mug, Katie, Redondo Beach.
Come on, really?
Ralph, here's one that is addressed to you, and I wanted your thoughts on this.
Okay.
Sue writes in, I thought you guys would appreciate this. My department at work had a team-building event on Thursday last week. One of the fun things we decided to do was play softball. I was trying to recruit the 20-somethings to play, and you know what they all told me? They had never played softball before. You know why? Because of freaking soccer. What is wrong with America? How can these guys not know how to play softball? Soccer is what's wrong with the world. I'm just saying, oh yes, would you please fire a beer mug?
You got it. Soccer's ruining the world.
Interesting.
I've said it for some time.
That I mean, I guess that makes sense that a lot of people grow up and that's the only sport they ever play is soccer, right?
Well, if they have abusive parents, yes.
Dear Kevin and Bean, we'll call him Mike, who writes in. He asked that his real name not be used.
What's his real name?
Dylan.
Oh, okay.
I couldn't call in when you guys were talking about rock bottom stories because I listen at work. About 7 years ago, I was homeless on meth. I hadn't showered in about a week, so I went to a Marriott Inn and began checking doors on one of the floors until one opened. So I guess just randomly, he's going up and down looking for a door that'll open. I went in and I took a shower while people were talking in the main room. When I got out, there were a man and woman standing there, and they gave me $10 to be on my way. I don't expect this to be read on air, but please don't use my name if you happen to do that, says Mike. At my worst on meth, I was still in better shape than beer mug.
Well, sure. That's why we're trying to fire him.
Imagine how crazy that would be, though, if you got a guy who comes into your hotel room and just starts taking a shower while you're there.
Does he say he bottomed out at that point and he got help after that? That was the end for him?
He doesn't mention that, but my guess is that's why he wrote to us about his rock bottom moment.
Crazy.
Maybe that was his turnaround. Michael writes in, I'd like to see a picture of Lisa May's jam box and maybe that speaker thing she's talking about as well.
Zing!
When is Beer Mug's last day?
Oh, come on.
Here's a couple on grand romantic gestures that we were doing yesterday. You tell me if this is cool or not. Charles writes in, I got a tattoo on my chest that says, will you marry me?
Oh.
No.
And he sent a photo. He sent a picture of it. Is that, that seems like you get the initial thrill of that moment where she sees the tattoo, but then what's the rest of your life like walking around with a will you marry me tattoo on?
Yeah, no woman should ever marry a man who has that tattooed on his chest because he's a mental case.
It's just poor judgment, right?
Yeah.
And that's Charles. And then one more. I was proposing to my wife by taking her to her favorite quiet place overlooking North Orange County at night. I was giving her the ring, the bouquet of lilies, her favorite flower. I picked her up from work, and I said I was taking her someplace special. She said, where are we going? I said, it's a surprise. She threw a big fit and said, no, I need to know where we're going. I finally give in. I told her where we were going, and then she freaked out and told me we can't go there because her friend was there the week before and was attacked by some bums. So I turned around and drove her home. I ended up proposing to her while she was in her PJs eating Taco Bell on the living room floor. We've been married 7 years. Please fire beer bugs.
It's getting ridiculous.
That's spectacular.
So that was not the hilarious romantic gesture that he was hoping for, but it seemed like it worked out for him anyway. Thanks, John. You can email any of us. All of our email addresses are at KROQ.com. If you want to look it up on the Kevin and Bean page, you can also get to us at Twitter at Kevin and Bean. There's a Kevin and Bean Facebook page as well. And we'll take a quick break and come back and give you tickets to see Green Day in the Red Bull Sound Space here at KROQ.
It's the Kevin and Bean Show.
Smells like butt hair. KROQ.
It's the hardest game in the world, too. The revenge of the game, Die Harder Electric Boogaloo. If you thought words were hard, wait till you try music. This time, it's personal.
Hey, Mr. Announcer Man, how you doing, buddy?
Good morning, Kevin and Bean.
So it's been a while since we played this game. Refresh my memory. It is easy to win or not so much?
It is the hardest game in the world, too. Die Harder Electric Boogaloo.
All right, you said it's different from the hardest game in the world where we use words. What are we going to be listening to today here to win the Green Day tickets?
Usually we play titles of songs or band names backwards, and you need to identify them. Now we'll be playing actual songs backwards.
Oh, that doesn't sound easy at all.
It's hard!
All right, everyone who correctly identifies what Green Day song they're listening to backwards goes into the drawing. Lisa, will you hook us up at the end of this and let us know who wins their way into the Red Bull Sound Space at KROQ?
You bet.
Who's our first contestant, Mr. Announcer Man?
First up is Andrew. He's a property manager.
Hey, Andrew. Welcome to the Kevin and Bean Show. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing well. How are you?
All right, good luck to you. You're going to be hearing a Green Day song backwards. We can only play it once, so listen closely. Tell us what song this is.
Gangnam Style.
What do you think?
Style?
It's not Gangnam Style. You're not allowed to guess, Mr. Announcement. This is up to Andrew here.
Sorry.
I'm going to say American Idiot.
Yes! Well done, my friend. You are in the drawing. Nice job. Who's up next?
Next up is Tommy. He's an interactive designer. At least that's what he tells his parents.
That's not even a real job, Tommy. That sounds made up.
No, it's a great job. What are you talking about?
Okay.
All right, listen up. Here's your Green Day song backwards.
Gangnam Style.
Nope, not Gangnam Style, Mr. Announcement. Please let Tommy do the answers here.
Sorry.
AC/DC?
Nice. That's the best guess ever. I hope you were just kidding.
Oh, totally. Is it Good Riddance?
It is Good Riddance. Well done. Unpredictable. Yeah, Green Day doesn't have a lot of ballads, so that one was a little easier than most. But congratulations, you are in the drawing.
2 for 2.
This game is not at all hard, by the way, Mr. Announcer Man. You lied to us.
It wasn't hard for those guys, but what about for Chuck? Chuck, Bobuck, Banana Fana Flow. He's up next.
Hi, Chuck. Good morning. Ready to play?
Sam, good morning.
All right, good luck. Listen up. That's annoying. All right,
hard.
What song is that, Chuck?
This is the hardest game in the world, too.
Yes.
I'm going to say Welcome to Paradise.
Oh, I'm so sorry. It was Longview. Hey, you got nothing to be embarrassed about, Chuck. That was actually very, very difficult. Thank you for playing. Who's next, Mr. Announcer Man?
Next up is Gene. Gene's a teacher.
Hi, Gene. What do you teach?
Oh, I teach psychology.
Oh,
we could use you at this joint.
That's for sure. All right, you know how the game is played. You're up next. Good luck. Boy, it's a hard game, Mr. Announcer Man.
That was a hard one.
That's what she said. What's your answer?
Gene.
Yes, we know your name, but what's your answer? What song do you think it is?
I think it's the new one, Oh Love.
I think you're right. Unbelievable. Who saw Gene pulling that one out of his ass?
Not me, since he answered first with his own name.
Yes. I thought he was Kevining while he was talking to us on the phone. All right, we already have time for one more. Make it a good one, Mr. Announcer Man.
How about Luis? He's an EMT. Clear!
Louise, so far you got a lot of competition with Andrew, Tommy, and Gene. They're all in the drawing to win these tickets. We only have one pair to give, so good luck, okay?
All right, thank you.
What say you?
Oh, man, I'm going to have to go with, is that Welcome to Paradise?
Is it Welcome to Paradise? This game is not hard.
It is hard. Shut up.
Andrew, Tommy, Gene, Lewis all identified their Green Day songs. There can only be one winner. Lisa, you ready to break some hearts here?
All right, I'm mixing them up really good. And our winner is Andrew.
Andrew on line 1. Give them to me, Birma. Give them to me. Andrew, you're going to be at KROQ on Monday to see Green Day.
Sweet, thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for playing. Thank you, Mr. Announcer Man.
Andrew is underwhelmed.
This is the Kevin and Bean Show.
It's like being around a black hole that just sucks the life out of everything.
KROQ.
Always a little bit nervous about congratulating our Green Day winners because Ralph seems to have like a bad history with a lot of our listeners.
No, that's not true. Not all of them, just some of them.
Aliseo Moya from Burbank.
That bastard.
Come on.
He still owes me money.
What's your problem with Aliseo?
He does not get tickets until he pays me back.
Well, he is going to be in the building on KROQ if you want to shake him down then.
I'll be waiting. I'll be right here. You know where I am, Aliseo. Bring it on.
He just won tickets for the Red Bull Sound Space at KROQ to see Green Day. Huge band, tiny little place. Stryker is moderating. You can see it through KROQ.com live as it unfolds starting at around 3 p.m. Plus, you win a copy of the new album, Uno. Your chance to win on the way here at KROQ. Ralph is joining us now. Time for the Showbiz Beat for a Wednesday. What's going on?
It's Uno. Learn Spanish. Open up a blog. All right, before I get to the showbiz news, how about some more passes to what looks to be an incredible film. I have been looking forward to this since I saw the footage at Comic-Con back in July. It just looks amazing. Rian Johnson, genius writer-director, man who gave us Brick, if you saw that film. Boy, I love that. He is once again reunited with Joseph Gordon-Levitt in Looper. Jogo Lev stars as a young Bruce Willis in this film. In the date 2072, the mob is using time travel technology to get rid of its enemies by sending them into the past 30 years where an assassin waits, kills them, and disposes of the body. There's no evidence of any crime in 2072 where the mob is currently employing this technology. So it's a genius system to eliminate people you want to get rid of. But here's the problem. When you are one of these assassins, or loopers as they're known, when you outlive your usefulness, what do they do with you? Well, they send you into the past to get offed. So what happens...
They send you to kill yourself?
Yes. What happens when the mob wants to close the loop on Joseph Gordon-Levitt and sends back Joe's future self, played by Bruce Willis, and it's man against himself.
That seems unlikely.
It's awesome.
Wait, hold on a second.
You don't get it.
But I don't get it.
No.
If you kill yourself in the past, there is no future you.
Right. But if you kill, you're not supposed to. They come like tied up in like a straitjacket with a hood on their head, and they just show up. And boom, the minute they show up into the past, you off them. So technically, you are ending your own life in the future, but you'll have another good 30 years. That's a guarantee. So
my brain hurts.
This young whippersnapper Joe take out old, craggy, world-weary Joe, knowing that in essence he's ending his own life, where you bet your ass he's trying to. He's trying to get rid of himself because the mob insists on it. That's how you stay a looper.
Love it. Too much information.
If he doesn't kill himself in the future, the mob will kill present day Joe. How about that?
I gotcha.
So he has to do it to make right.
This is making insanely good sense to me.
Yes.
How can I see this movie before it opens, Ralph?
I'm glad you asked me that, Bean Baxter. You can call right now, 1-800-520-1067. First 3 callers who get through at that phone number will get a pair of passes to the advanced screening of Looper.
How far is the festival from the Marriott?
It's not a festival. It's a screening of a movie, Dave. It's at the Sony Studios lot on September the 27th.
And when do they get the stuff really get going? In the afternoon?
Well, no. The next day, Friday, September the 28th, is when the movie will be released. So that's when it gets going in your vernacular, David.
That's racist.
It's not. He's a cranky drunk who just keeps calling in. If you're on the internet today, you may want to check out the brand new viral ad for which water is it? Smart Water. Smart Water it is. Jennifer Aniston, the face of Smart Water, has a hilarious new commercial that you can only find on the internet for now. It is very funny. It apparently is... What it proposes to be is security footage taken from security cameras in her home, catching her out of the public eye. And it's so funny. She takes off her luxurious hair, and she's got like this bad, really ugly, brown, kinky, curly hair underneath it. She hangs up her hairdos all over the house, and she takes off her stomach Spanx, and her giant pregnant stomach pops out. She's carrying triplets.
Oh, that's awesome.
And she already has 2 children, we find out by looking at the security video of her home. One is an alien. She has an alien baby. And another of her sons, her young, childish son, looks suspiciously like Jimmy Kimmel in a bathing suit with water wings on, with floaties, desperately begging to go into her pool, which is filled, of course, entirely with smart water.
A lot of secrets behind the walls of Jennifer Aniston's
We
house.
had no idea the life she was living. Here's a little conversation between her and her young son.
Mom, could I go swimming?
Honey, please be a good boy. Go upstairs and take a nap.
I want to swim.
Listen, don't cry. And if you are a good boy, I'm going to play hide and seek with you later. I told you.
I don't want to hide. You always make me hide. I think you're ashamed of me.
Honey, that is not true. Now, please, before anybody sees you, would you get inside? And would you please take your little brother with you? Hurry. Come on, scoot.
Your brother's an alien.
Wow.
What's going on? Just like Jimmy.
It does. It looks a lot like him, too. It's very strange. Amanda Bynes.
Guilty.
She's not been charged. Well, she has been charged with stuff. We'll find out Friday, I guess, whether she's guilty or not. But we know she's nuts. That much we know. She locked herself inside a dressing room in West Hollywood in a boutique there for about 2 hours.
They must have been debating, do we call the police?
Especially when they heard loud clanging sounds coming from inside the locked dressing room. Clanging sounds. What is she, a prospector? She's setting up camp there. She's going to make herself some beans and hot coffee. What's the clanging sound?
don't know.
Pots and pans that she brought along?
Was she talking to herself or talking to other inanimate objects in the dressing room? Does
Not
it say?
according to these accounts of the situation, but they were knocking on the door saying, you've been in there for 2 hours, and she would scream back, "I need more time." So the poor employee who was waiting on her called another employee to try to give her backup, and they just waited her out. And eventually, 2 hours later, she strolled out with a pair of stilettos, some sunglasses, and a bikini top that she paid for, and was on her merry way.
So strange.
Yeah. Meanwhile,
I've seen women do some very nutty stuff, illogical things that a man would never do.
Her arch nemesis, Lindsay Lohan, also in the news. Lindsay was arrested for fleeing the scene of an accident early this morning when she allegedly clipped a pedestrian's knee while parking her Porsche Cayenne at a hotel in downtown New York City. Witnesses say the pedestrian was hit in the knee. The passengers got out of her SUV, looked at the car to see if there was any damage, and then went inside. When she came out about 2.5 hours later, police were there waiting for her and arrested her. Now, sources are saying this is a late developing story that police have looked at the security cameras, and it does not appear as if the car actually makes contact with the guy's knee.
Really?
Interesting.
But they will have to investigate further. I'm speculating that Judge Stephanie Sautner here in L.A., who certainly could violate her probation, given the fact that she was even arrested on this charge, will wait to hear exactly what went down before she makes any further decisions. But could potentially be scary for Lindsay. She could go back to jail.
Yeah.
I want her and Amanda Bynes to live together in a reality show. That's what I want.
That is the only answer. Alessandra Ambrosio, one of Victoria's Secret's angels, is one of those freaky women. She had a baby 4 months ago. Gave birth to a baby boy named Noah. UK's Daily Mail newspaper has photos this morning on the internet of her heading into a yoga class with a stone-cold six-pack.
Are you kidding?
I kid you not. I couldn't believe these photos. 4 months ago, she had a baby. Now she could bounce a quarter off her stomach.
That's hot.
She is not human.
No. Ugh.
These supermodels with their alien DNA, they're going to be the death of us all.
You need to put them someplace else.
Yeah, my house.
Yeah, that's fine
Round
with
them all
me.
up.
Just
Round
get them
them
out of
all
my
up.
sight.
Round them all up and put them in my backyard. And Shaun White, I mentioned yesterday, he was a bit of a mess on Sunday night. He got loaded and destroyed his hotel room. He got, popped in Nashville for public intoxication and vandalism. Now, most celebrities will deny, will excuse, will shy away from this. Shaun issued an apology on Facebook.
Not dehydration
yesterday.
and exhaustion?
Nope. He claimed he made unwise choices. And he apologized for any inconvenience it caused my family, friends, business partners, the hotel, and their guests.
Wow.
You're drunk. So he cops to it, that he was drunk and out of control, and I guess he's going to make restitutions. And, we've got so many competition shows on television now. You got the American Idol, you got The Voice, by the way, went up in the ratings. Still the most popular of all these shows. America's Got Talent, X Factor. Here's a competition show that Bean could actually compete in. It's for nerds.
How dare you?
It is called...
I'm not smart enough to be a nerd, by the way.
They're looking for the next Steam star, will be this new show. Okay. Will I Am of the Black Eyed Peas is apparently behind it. No. He's trying to develop a show to be used to find the next Steve Jobs or Mark Zuckerberg, someone who's going to move technology forward. STEAM stands for Science, Technology, Engineering, Arts, and Math. So they'll have a competition-style reality show where nerds will compete against each other for a grand prize.
Interesting.
What kinds of things will they do in competition?
Here's a sock and some steel wool. Build a house. Go. Things like that. See how inventive they are.
I'm going to suck at this.
You're going on it.
I've got no skills.
You're going on it and you'll like it.
In any area at all.
But you are a nerd. You have lots of facts in your head. Not for a long time, but they're there for a while, and you can use them while you got them.
If you catch me at the right time with the right fact, I'm astonishing.
That's right. And it's always fun when Jon Stewart from The Daily Show and Bill O'Reilly from O'Reilly Factor go at each other. I love when they battle. Looks like they are doing it now for charity. They have announced a live debate between the two men.
Love it.
George Washington University on October the 6th. They will go head-to-head debating on the upcoming presidential race.
Fantastic.
It's going to be a pay-per-view event.
I think I might pay for that.
That's what I'm saying. They're calling it The Rumble in the Air-Conditioned Auditorium. Bang, 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 bang. It's going to be streamed online as well as pay-per-view, and half the proceeds from the event will go to charity. So you can check that out. I'll give you more details as they get closer.
Cool.
Let's take a look at today's celebrity birthdays. James Lipton, host of Inside the Actors Studio, is 86 years old. That's nuts. Comedian Sherry O'Terry from Saturday Night Live is 50. A.J. Popoff from Lit is 39 years old today. Jimmy Fallon, comedian and talk show host, is 38. Jimmy Fallon, talented guy.
Mm-hmm.
His late night show is very successful.
Yeah.
Can be very entertaining.
Yeah.
Don't need to see him in any more of those commercials where he's giving half off money to babies.
Really seen him
or he's
play too many characters?
Pretending to be a cowboy giving back money, or a fisherman or whatever. Don't need any more of that. The Italian pizza dough tosser guy. Don't need any more of that on my television. Danielle Panabaker is 25 years old. Katrina Bowden is 24 years old. Jeremy Irons, legendary British actor, is 64. Did you ever see Dead Ringers?
Yes.
Sure. That's a
great
creepy film.
Great film.
And Adam West, TV's Batman.
Adam West. A little bit softer now. Adam West.
Almost there.
Adam West.
Stop it. Stop it now.
Adam West.
Stop it.
Want to take a gander at some Adam West penis?
I just have to go home if I want to do that. Open up my scrapbook. He is 82 years old today. Happy birthday to my hero and champion, Adam West. I'm Ralph Garman. I walk the showbiz beat.
Thank you very much, Ralph. Enjoyed it. We didn't get a chance to mention it today, but the phenomena that is Kevining continues. Have you seen the new batch of photos that Chip just put up in the gallery?
I've seen many of them.
Our little friend Brad Williams has done some Kevining. I believe he's on he's standing on the bar at a strip club, if I'm not mistaken, in his photo.
Isn't he always?
Channel Our beautiful friend from Channel 5, Allie McKay, did her kevening photo at Knott's Scary Farm. We're adding that one, too. Suzanne Marquez from CBS, entertainment reporter over there, has added her photo. From Blue Bloods, Greg Jabara has done a kevening photo for us.
Wow.
Yeah, he's awesome. Lisa, you got a class at Pierce College to do some kevening when you were visiting this week.
KPCRadio.com.
We got listeners from Cambodia and so much more. They're coming in from all over the world. We, as I mentioned, forgot to mention it today, but Kevening, the gallery, is growing ever stronger. You can go to kevinandme.com and check it out. And please do send in your photo. And we are working behind the scenes on the Kevening dance video as well. What a show we have for you tomorrow. Check this out. First of all, John Bones Jones is going to be back on the program.
Oh, that should be interesting.
Had him in here about a month ago. He, of course, preparing for UFC 152. We'll be talking to John. Chris Hardwick, the Nerdist himself, is going to be joining us on the program tomorrow. Dr. Drew is going to be here tomorrow. Wow. The host of this year's Emmys, Jimmy Kimmel. What? Jennifer Aniston's son is going to be joining us tomorrow. And we got tickets for you to join us here at KROQ for the Green Day show at the Red Bull Sound Space at KROQ, which is happening on Monday. So that is all coming up for you tomorrow right here on an all-new Kevin and Bean show on KROQ.
Does everyone here have an issue with their penis size?
Kevin and Bean.
Yes.